What's happening, everybody? All right, what is going on? Coffee Shop Talk number 39. And now we do them live. As you can see, we're going to get into the Joe Rogan experience when Theo Vaughn recently went on. But how is everybody doing on November 29th, 2025? This is Dorian D. Booma. We're going to have a little bit of coffee. And normally in the coffee shops, you're not watching TV, you're socializing. That's what you're supposed to be doing, right? Well, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. Gotta love that jazz to get us going, you know? Something a little bit mellow. Can you guys hear me all right? Give me the 5x5 or the thumbs up or whatever it is that people do. And give me a little thumbs up on the video if you would, wherever you're watching this, on Substack, YouTube, or Rumble. D-Mind of Booma is infecting all over the platforms, 5x5. Thank you. And happy Saturday to everybody. It's actually my dad's birthday. So we're going to do one here this morning. And then I'll look at doing a podcast perhaps tomorrow as well. But I thought I'd get in here and woohoo! And say hello. What's up, Ninja Girl? Sal Lion, Ophelia. Christopher's in the house. Mama Cowcat. Missouri Maverick. Wide Awake, Not Sheeping. And then RKW. Jane. Targeted 714. Welcome. And you're over there holding down the fort. We got some people. Some of you over here on the YouTube. Vlade Hamada. Yeah, reading names is not my thing. But Rena, McRobin, Ken Roman over on the Substack. Got to find a way to liven up the Substack. Substack really needs to get their shit together, or maybe it's StreamYard's end, but they need to really make this work out. From SoCal, lots of love to you all. Yes. Southern California, I'm sure it's still beautiful over there, but politics are awful. But what do we got, Valerie? What do you got? Hot coffee with salted caramel cream? Ooh, you're going fancy. Fancy dancy. What is up, everybody? I think we got some dudes in the house. I saw Christopher talking about, it was all Booma babes. Happy birthday, Papa Booma. Yes. So we're going to have the whole family get together and celebrate later on this evening. So I will be busy once again, and it was a great Thanksgiving. It's kind of wild having the kittens in the house, the 5 kittens, if you didn't know. Very small still, but they are getting to the point where they can do... They're at that point where it's like, no, stay small forever. And they're little terrors. I was eating breakfast this morning, just like half awake and eating some cereal. And all of a sudden, I had a Wolverine freaking claw on the back of my freaking love handle. What the heck? This cat decided to attack me when I was unsuspecting. It got me good. It was, there's 3 of them that look like chipmunks. And I believe it was Chip that got me, because Dale has a little dot on his nose. My little niece is the one that's pointing this stuff out. She can peg them quickly, and the 3 chipmunks, I can start to tell them apart a little bit, but they look all the same to me, and I can't tell. But I think I got it now. My little niece taught me over Thanksgiving how to tell them apart, so I think I got them. But man, that Wolverine claw right into my love handle. Woo! That got me going. Thanks for the wake up. I didn't even have that much coffee in me, but after that, I didn't need it for a moment. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And the feral cats are really utilizing the kitty mansion. So I wanted to do this Joe Rogan kind of exposure with Theo Vaughn, and then get some takes on Theo Vaughn on this one. And I mixed it into the coffee shop talk, because coffee shop talks don't get as much love as what I think that they should. But maybe it's just a little niche in the Booma streamer world kind of a thing. But Yeah, the kitty just wanted to play. I looked back there and I started like aggressively but lovingly rubbing its belly, and it started purring, and I was like, "Yeah, you know you're naughty. You know you're naughty. I can't even be mad. They're so freaking cute." But the outside kitties are really starting to utilize the kitty mansion. I think a lot of people should maybe more appreciate some of these coffee shop talks. But everybody wants they want the exposure videos. They want the hardcore stuff a little bit more. I try to keep it a little bit more, less cursing and a little bit more under control. I had Tanya on one time, and if you haven't had the chance to watch any of Tanya, she's a lovely lady, beautiful soul. Got a beautiful love for Jesus, and I don't know what it was that day. I got caffeinated and I got fired up, and I couldn't stop swearing. So we were talking about a swear jar, and I think I've filled multiples of those. But I'm gonna try to keep it pretty chill here on the coffee shop talks. But at the same time, I wanted to see what would happen if I went ahead and did this, because what are you guys thinking? So I'm going through some of the old material, of course, which is maybe driving some people nuts on the YouTube. Maybe you love it. I don't know. I got a good mixture. I've got some stuff that I from back in the day that I'm posting, but I've been kind of in this. I heard this guy he's all right. He's decent. Anyways, I'm getting back into some of the older stuff that I did, and who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck am I? Who the fuck is Alex Jones? And this idea of perhaps the Bill Hicks being taking over in '97, the character that is Alex Jones. And there's a lot more than what goes into this video. And I cut out, so what I'm doing is I'm trying to cut out some of the fat in some of the older videos as I repost them. Also got on a whole bunch of, I got a full podcast playlist. This will teach you more about Sabrina Wallace and biofield practice, but she allowed me to put on her biofield practices. And so you guys have and there should be no fucking commercials on any of this. Most of the stuff that I post, I can't monetize because of copyright, for one. But on these, I said no to any of the copyrights, even no to the monetization aspect of things. So you should just be able to watch it and turn it into like a workout playlist. Do some biofield practice. And it's I'll talk to Sabrina more about it. We're in communication, and obviously we're going to be doing a show on Tuesday. But we'll figure some more out. Anyways, this idea around Alex Jones, I think one of his producers or his manager was the same manager that Bill Hicks had. The manager, I can't remember his name. I'd have to get into it. But in his book, he writes some things that's kind of telling, and it makes you think that Joe Rogan and these guys are all in on this. And who knows, though? Maybe it's a psyop that they created just to fuck with people because they're comedians and they have sick minds. But who the fuck is Alex Jones?
Yeah, it's Alex Jones, baby. All right, we're talking about some serious issues today. We're talking about how they got us divided. It should not be front page news that Fuzzy Zeller said something racist.
Whoever this is, it ain't the current Alex Jones. I can't believe that. That's for one thing. But anyway, so I'm getting a lot of stuff put over on the YouTuber. The YouTuber's getting lots of love. What's up, Sean Elmer? And Diney, what's happening? Some of you are coming in. Before I get to the Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn video clips that we're going to go through in this video that we're going to watch as a watch party. Just showing you guys some things that we got going on. I think the YouTube is going to be. I wish some of the other platforms would allow it more, but it's all just kind of linear on Substack and Rumble for the most part. But YouTube allows the shorts, playlist, podcast playlists, and all that. So, hey, what's up? Coley's in the house. Good to see you. Yes, I hope you're doing all right. Prayers for Coley and your healing with whatever it is that you got going on there. And then Sabrina's in the house. So we're just spending a little time saying hello to everybody, drinking a little bit of coffee. I hope you all are doing well. On this weekend, I didn't know who would all show up for this, but perfect timing then if your live stream just ended. And I'm still finishing the last little bit of Sabrina's live stream from yesterday, but that is one I think that we'll get into At some point, I'll talk to Sabrina about it. But the whole Montauk program and the Philadelphia experiment and some of that, I think those are big and important topics that are for a greater discussion when it comes to the biodigital convergence and her take on it. And so I'm excited about that, if we can make that happen. And then there's some other stuff. So anyways, the YouTube is, I'm excited about it, and I know it's a lot, but I hope people can utilize it as a tool, unless they take me down. But anyways, a lot of the videos that I post shouldn't be monetized. So if they're putting freaking commercials on it, that's YouTube side, and that pisses me off. Anyways, Lizarachi's in the house. And then LJA21. Yes, I'm not sure where you're at, but it's earlier in the day here where I'm at, and I'm glad that you could be here to catch a live stream. And what is up, Andre? Yes, boom. And it's really cool seeing y'all roll in here. All right, so let's get started. And then we got Melinda. Welcome, Melinda. Welcome, everybody. Give a little thumbs up on whatever platform you are. Help the algorithms, if you would. I try to do all that I put out there for free. And so everybody has an opportunity, regardless of your financial situation, because fuck this fucking economy. Anyways, silver is going up, so that is a plus. But like I've always said, don't trust these people out there that are pushing these programs and these companies. Just buy it and have it in hand. But it is nice to see at least a few things going right, because the Q people are going nuts, and they are talking a lot about, well, they as in the mainstream, and Trump and these guys talking about, really going after more of the immigrants, which I think that they're getting rid of a lot of people that aren't necessarily the bad ones. They're just making it, I don't know, man. I don't know what to think of all this. There's a lot of stuff going on in that realm that I'm not going to touch on in this one, but there would be if on a Booma streamer you guys want to get together and talk about some of that news, the two people that got gunned down and all that stuff. It seems I was seeing that looks like the good old Cash FBI is helping cover up and make it hard to tell what exactly went on with those two people that died. It's sad. The world is rough. But sticking along the lines of exposing the Alex Jones controlled opposition, maybe on the highest levels, because Alex Jones taken over when Bill Cooper was no longer, for whatever that was, and Joe Rogan coming through the Comedy Store and tied to Mitzi Betts, and I did a show with Juxtaposition on the Comedy Store, and it's like a military operation. I think he is right on the money about that. Yeah, well, if you didn't catch the last Booma streamer, Biscuits showed up on that and actually joined in, brother. So go back and check a little bit later on if you want to catch the Biscuits. He's doing well overall, and still alive and kicking. They haven't taken him out. And yes, so Biscuits is doing all right. But yes, it's kind of weird planning what I'm going to do without the Biscuits, because I always have that to look forward to. I got Sabrina every other week. But not having the Biscuits is kind of rough. I coordinate stuff with him, and I talk to him more when we're doing work together, and he's been busy. So God bless him and his family for the holidays, and he'll be back. Yes, take care of family, Coley, and God bless you. All the stuff you have going on, hopefully we can get you back on at some point, and we can have another conversation. Coley was the first to step up on a Booma streamer and come live with me and set the stage for other people to have the courage to jump on, and now it's been really fun, and I'm hoping to get more of you. So let's get to this. So there's actually two videos, and I don't know these platforms, if you will, and it's interesting because it's on YouTube, and they're exposing Joe Rogan in this Apologia Comedia. Interesting. But Theo Vaughn exposes how compromised Joe Rogan really is. Now, we've known this for a while, and I was calling out even in some of my earlier work when I started going solo about how some of these guys like Joe Rogan and Russell Brand, who's always been a left-leaning liberal psychopath, Illuminati scumbag, some of these guys that were more farther left started to embrace Jesus a little bit, started to embrace Trump and the conservative side of things. And it's just been such a weird, it's been weird seeing how this all plays out. But now some people are saying that maybe these guys got duped. I don't know. I don't know if I'd say they got duped, but in this, what we're going to watch, it's very telling in the sense that it seems like Theo Vaughn was pressing buttons on purpose on live so Joe didn't have any other opportunity other than to try to do control of the narrative. And Theo Vaughn is one that is interesting to me because he has a huge platform. You would probably think that he's already controlled, but you would think with what we have going on, in the sense that if you know anything about, the surveillance state, biodigital convergence, and where we're headed, these guys aren't going to be doing well either. Good for you that you have hundreds of millions of dollars, Joe. But once this comes in, I mean, he's sweet talking the crap out of Peter Thiel and some of these technocrats. So maybe he thinks he's going to, maybe they promised him something, but guys like Theo Vaughn, some of these people, they got to realize that the future isn't for them either. They can have all this fame and wealth right now, but shortcoming and not too distant future, they are not going to benefit any more than anyone else, really. I don't know. Maybe there'll be sections of it, and maybe they will have tiered tiered humanity systems set up so that these guys still continue to benefit in some way, as long as they entertain. But at the same time, when you look at, when you think about these guys, like Joe Rogan, he's been quoted as saying, "I'll lie to my mother. I'll do whatever I want." He's talking to the powers that be out there before he ever became real famous. Was this on? It might have been on Fear Factor or Joe Rogan Questions Everything or something like that back in the day. He was already big, but now he's big. He was telling them, tell me, I want to know all the secrets, and I won't tell anybody. I'll lie to my mother. This guy doesn't give a shit about his family, and Theo Vaughn might actually give a shit about his family. So some of these people are going to be like, my cousins, my sisters, my brothers, they're not going to be faring well. They're not famous like me. They're not. I mean, there's only so many people you can keep under the fame umbrella going into the future of whatever this is going to be. And so anyways, I want to look at this. And then there's actually another video that I found right before we went on here that they expose him on here. So we're going to get a little taste of this one too. I'm literally doing some of this on the fly to a certain extent, but this podcast cringe, the Joe Rogan Experience is dead. And so this is from Theo Vaughn interview, which was just on the 19th. And so I want to get a little piece of this because it actually goes into clips of Peter Thiel. And so we'll see some of this, and we'll get into a taste of some of these other podcasts. I mean, this one has 262,000 subscribers. I've never heard of these podcasts. It seems like they focus on the Joe Rogan Experience, and that's what I was trying to talk to Juxta about. I was like, Joe Rogan Experience is pivotal, and it would just trigger him as if you were bringing up Trump. Juxtaposition can't talk about Trump or Joe Rogan. He's like, they're irrelevant. They mean nothing. There's no reason to talk about them. And I'm like, they are the pivotal points in a lot of mainstream, even alternative freaking talking points. The Joe Rogan Experience is more powerful than the Comedy Store at this point. Now, comedians as a whole, maybe you could make an argument because there's so many of them. Bill Burr, some of these guys that are still out there, they're becoming actors and stuff like that. You got that Shane Gillian, I think is his name, coming out, and he's exploding and also doing shows and movies. I have to look that guy's name up. I think I'm getting it right. But anyways, the Joe Rogan Experience, as far as media goes and a little bit of news, it's all controlled. It's all a military operation. They had a Brian Redband, used to be the producer in that show. And then they brought on this Jamie Vernon, I think is his name. And so Matthew North, yes, gosh, perfect timing. I was just going to say, like Shelly's saying here, Matthew North exposed the shit out of Joe Rogan, and it went all the way to George Soros, and it's tied to that Onnit company, which I don't see him promoting as much anymore, but it's his supplement company with an Aubrey Marcus's father being tied into the intelligence agencies. The idea is that Joe Rogan has no control over his show, and they bring on guests, and they do it strategically, and he tries to play dumb, and he tries to play like he is just an organic meathead kind of dude that has some knowledge about various things. But he's like the premier podcast. Like, there's a lot of them now. But he is like the big like $100 million to go to Spotify, which I think is like owned by Peter Thiel, or Peter Thiel's big into it. We'll get into some of that. But it's like, when I argue with Juxta, I was like, you got to expose this. But these two channels, and we're going to get into a little bit of both of them, but we're going to play this whole video of this other one. This one, we're going to start watching this as a watch party. I'll stop in between and we'll have discussions. But they basically are exposing the shit out of Joe Rogan Experience. And it's like all the characters that come on, and it is important to expose this. And this channel has, 46,000 subscribers. Like, this is important to do. And that's what
There's photos of Nancy.
Yeah, so when I get to this, we're going to start watching it. But this is what I could not get into Juxta's head of how important this podcast is, considering how hard they push it out there and how many people view this. So let's get into this. But I saw, from what I can tell, sincerity in Theo Vaughn actually trying to interject, like, truth. And, like, he's tired of people pressuring him maybe to run narratives. He's tired of not being able to speak about the truth. And I've seen him, he even had on a human trafficking survivor, and it was kind of awkward a couple times when I watched it. I can't remember the name of the woman. But if you go on and you watch Theo Vaughn, and I'm not necessarily pumping him because he could be completely controlled, and he probably is, but he seems like he's resisting here a little bit, and he's on arguably the largest podcasting platform to speak, and he's interjecting things that are the truth. And I don't know what to make of this. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they're trying to evolve Theo Vaughn, but it does seem like Joe Rogan is very uncomfortable at times. And Joe Rogan is having a hard time controlling the narrative on his own show with Theo Vaughn and the way that Theo's doing this. But Theo does not seem like Theo's made some hilarious jokes nonstop. He's a funny guy, but he seemed like in a mood where he was serious. And he even talked about something that happens, and they'll get into this after the Charlie Kirk assassination. It seemed like they tried to do a little smear campaign, the government, that is, or a government agency of some sort, some high-powered agency. They're going to get into it. This is interesting. Is Theo Vaughn trying to actually speak some truth, and what is going to happen? It's going to be interesting to see, because if he just goes back into his, comedy thing and he stays away from covering this stuff and doesn't talk about it anymore, then we'll know more that he got controlled, got handled, whatever it is. But he even talks about at one point being super paranoid, thinking they're coming after me. So let's get into this. We're going to start watching. Theo Vaughn exposes how compromised Joe Rogan really is.
Nancy Pelosi with JFK.
That was before Israel didn't kill him.
You think so?
I didn't say anything.
Yeah,
how much longer does Israel let us stay alive, do you think? That's the big question.
Why?
Okay, so they're touching on a couple things, and it's just interesting how he says this right in the beginning. Let's start it out from the very beginning. I just want to point this out real quick. This is impressive work, and he's been doing this. Theo Vaughn, that is, he's been doing this for a long time. But this is not like tries to do it as a joke, because he's like trying to like interject truth, I think, into this podcast where tens of millions are watching, and he does it really strategically. It's kind of impressive.
There's photos of Nancy Pelosi with JFK.
That was before Israel didn't kill him.
The way he says that's before Israel didn't kill him, but it alludes to Israel killing him. It's impressive.
You think so?
I didn't say anything.
Yeah,
how much longer does Israel let us stay alive, do you think? That's the big question.
Why were they...
What did you say? Is that AI?
What are you saying?
That's Sora?
What are you saying?
I didn't say anything.
Well,
With sketchy times, I mean, the same company, that company Palantir, that was doing all that crazy stuff in Gaza, in Gaza, and they were like, running
were they doing?
All the drones and stuff like this.
Okay, so you mean like facial recognition data?
Right.
Do they have that capability with drones, where they could just zoom around? Listen.
Okay. So
you're right. However, China's making drones.
Theo Vaughn has officially wandered off the reservation, and Joe Rogan is not loving it. This latest episode of the JRE didn't feel like a conversation between two comedians. It felt like Theo was trying to talk about the powers that be, while Joe was desperately trying to keep everything inside Peter Thiel's Spotify approved category. And honestly, if there's one thing this interview reminded us, it's that Joe Rogan is fully compromised. For years, fans have watched the shift happen. He used to be the guy who would question everything, but now Joe's as mainstream as CNN. This isn't Joe playing dumb so he can keep huffing smelling salts and doing his stool routine at the comedy mothership. This is Joe protecting the narrative. Anytime someone brings up Peter Thiel, Joe immediately jumps to defend him and pivots to blaming Russia or China. Epstein, Joe won't touch it anymore. Instead, he throws out the safest, most sanitized talking points imaginable. Meanwhile, Theo's out here pouring out his heart.
Like now there's a lot of like billionaire files that our government protects and stuff, but back then...
You really think so?
I don't.
He says government pedophiles, and then Joe presses him on it, and then just to keep the conversation from being too confrontational, I think Theo Vaughn's playing this pretty well, and then he goes to I don't know, but it's like, yeah, he's injecting that into there, where like they're protecting all these billionaire pedophiles, and it seems like the Joe Rogan Experience, whenever Elon Musk wants to go on there, whenever Peter Thiel or any of these guys ever want to go on, they immediately jump the line, which... You know, they're fucking rich as shit. But that's the way the Joe Rogan Experience is set up. Joe Rogan Experience, it claims to be all organic. He plays dumb, but he's not playing dumb. And he's getting worse at playing dumb. Because these guys are, like, Theo Vaughn, I think, is figured he knows his shtick. And he knows it's controlled. And he came on here with a purpose to speak about things that you're not supposed to speak about, I think. And it gave us an opportunity to see the holes in Joe Rogan. And... It would be interesting to know what happened after this, what kind of conversation they had. I'm sure Theo Vaughn's still trying to be cool. Like, what? I was just, whatever. But I think he's doing it strategically. Because it ain't a good future that's coming, and they're going to get into that in this. But I want to do, so someone shared a link to the Matthew North. I want to bring Matthew North into the conversation more. There's only so many videos that still exist out there. I think they've wiped a lot of them. But he exposed Trump early on. He was a young kid, very bright. And the argument is that he got taken out. But that Adam Green, so if anybody knows who Adam Green is, and I haven't gotten into a lot of his material. He obviously seems to hate religion. But he's closer with Seven Seas. According to Seven Seas, Adam Green says that Matthew North, I think I was talking to Seven Seas before we did our live. Maybe it's in the live. I can't fucking remember what was in and what was out. But Seven Seas told me that Adam Green thinks, because he worked with Matthew North a little bit, he thinks that Matthew North took his own life. And I'm like, that kid had everything going for him. He had a strong mission. Why would he take his life unless they fucking drove him crazy, unless they started neural nudging him and putting thoughts into his fucking head and caused him to commit suicide? But I can't believe that. I can't believe that he took his own life. So that makes me question Adam Green a little bit. But I don't know. I wasn't there, and I came onto the Matthew North game after he was already gone. So I don't know. But Matthew North exposed Joe Rogan, and he exposed Sam Tripoli, connected to Joe Rogan, who Seven Seas hung out with. And I asked him about that, and I didn't get the best answer. And I'm not trying to throw a bunch of shade at Seven Seas, but I got questions. Sam Tripoli does the Tinfoil Hat conspiracy podcast and is connected to like Mel K, like pushed her really hard, and Mel K is just a fraud. She only has one shtick, and she's an ex-porn star and all that shit. She's just a fraud. Anyways, I want to highlight Matthew North's work because that kid exposed a lot of this fuckery when it was surrounding the Joe Rogan Experience, which it seems some of these channels are starting to do, but they're not getting into the intricacies of the companies and the names. Matthew North pegged it all the way up to George Soros with Joe Rogan, and now they've changed stuff like that because it got exposed. So following the money on Joe Rogan is a lot harder now. Anyways, I want to get to the Matthew North stuff eventually, but I wanted to throw that all out there because I would love to have that conversation with Seven Seas and Adam Green. I don't think Adam Green gives a shit about me, knows who I am, or any of that kind of shit. And I'm not saying that would ever happen, but that doesn't make sense to me that Matthew North would take his life. He had a strong mission, and he was a talented young man. So it sucks, but who knows? Anyways, let's get back to watching this. I'm sorry. I had to share some of that because, like I said, Seven Seas connected to Sam Tripoli. Sam Tripoli, Matthew North really getting into it. Sam Tripoli goes on the Joe Rogan Experience and has the Tinfoil Hat podcast, and it's pretty big too. And it's all connected. Weird.
No.
I don't know either. That's what makes me nervous. I don't know.
I mean, they just had that thing that came out about the Trump Epstein thing the other day. That whole thing's just a kickball at this point, I feel like.
Bro, have you ever seen that video of me and Tim Dillon?
That's basically how this entire podcast goes. Every time Theo wanders into anything even remotely controversial, Joe immediately changes the subject, or he pushes back with a safe narrative. But that's the funniest part. Half the stuff Theo is bringing up is common knowledge. These aren't fringe theories anymore. They're just inconvenient truths. And yet Joe reacts like he's auditioning to be the official spokesperson for the new show. Joe Rogan questions nothing. You can literally see it on Theo's face the moment he realizes what kind of episode this is going to be. He just gives a little defeated smirk. While they're talking politics, Joe brings up JFK, and I think because Joe shut down Theo once already, Theo just goes completely off the reservation.
A lot of these Nancy Pelosi type people, they've been around since this. There's photos of Nancy Pelosi with JFK. Think of that. That was before we didn't go to the moon.
Yeah.
It was 1963.
That was before Israel didn't kill him.
You think so?
I didn't say anything.
I heard you say Israel killed him.
You did?
That's what I heard. Maybe
Jamie, did you put something in this?
They didn't. The glass. They didn't do it. Oh, before Israel didn't do it. Oh, I see what you did.
Oh, I see what you did. Very clever. Joe Rogan's like, you son of a bitch. You got me to say it, and you got me to highlight it now, and now people are thinking about it. Genius fucking job, Theo Vaughn. And I'm not saying just jump on the Theo Vaughn train. I don't trust any fucking guy that has that much fucking power as far as the influence that he has. But I've wondered, like I said, if some of these guys are going to start pushing back more because they realize their friends and family are not going to be protected when this shit hits the fan. And there is shit going on right now. So someone was saying that that hopium circle thing that Sabrina made some predictions that didn't come true. I don't think so, man. They are rounding up immigrants right now. And we're back to talking about Civil War and World War III with General Flynn and Alex Jones. Is he Bill Hicks? Or is Bill Hicks one of the characters that played him? Or is that a psyop? I don't fucking know. There's lots of crazy shit that goes on around these comedians and the Comedy Store and the Joe Rogan podcast. And Joe Rogan and Alex Jones live in the same fucking area in Austin, Texas, and are friends, both doing this kind of shit. Anyways, I don't think so. I think Agenda 2030 is done. Agenda 2025 is here, and shit is starting to kick off because they're talking about signing the damn Insurrection Act, and that is going to put fucking boots on the ground. Might put some drones in the fucking air. Fuck.
I think
I didn't say anything.
I think Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone.
Theo slowly realizing Joe is a part of the group he's trying to talk about. Joe redirecting the convo each time Theo mentions Brazil. I always feel like Joe is trying to enlighten Theo, and Theo is just trolling him. I think that's exactly what's going on here. Joe clearly believes he's the smarter one in the room, so he tries to guide the conversation into these sponsor-safe waters anytime Theo starts drifting into the deep end. But that just exposes how compromised Joe has become, and it's not subtle anymore. For the last few years, the shift has been obvious. Joe used to be good at gatekeeping. He played the role of the useful idiot well, but now his opinions feel more like those little disclaimers YouTube puts at the bottom of videos that cover a controversial topic. Joe's views are the disclaimer. Whatever he immediately shuts down is probably what you should go look into. As the podcast keeps rolling, Theo casually mentions that he wants to start covering more news on his show. And the second he says that, Joe jumps in with this warning, which feels like it's directed at Trump and Vance. I think Joe and Theo both regret platforming them.
I feel lucky to get to talk to a lot of people. I don't think we do a lot of information type of stuff, and I wish we could do better with that sometimes. I think maybe that's a goal of mine next year, is to try to learn more stuff just in the day-to-day so I can have conversations that are maybe more important. But then also, maybe that's not what I'm supposed to do, and I'm just supposed to be just having conversations that are fun. And so...
Well, it's what you're supposed to do if that's what you want to do. What I think is the only important thing
is what you want to do.
Yeah. And to be genuinely curious about whatever you're talking about.
I agree.
And then hopefully be talking to someone who's telling the truth. That's where it gets weird. Now, sometimes people will be charismatic and they'll be very persuasive, but it turns out they have an agenda and they're not telling the truth. And
Joe is literally talking about himself here. This is how it works. And like people get in arguments with me about General Flynn, the guy that teaches 5-generational warfare, information warfare, whatever you want to call it, is literally the leader of the opposition. I mean, he's controlled op leading the charge. leading the revolution. And this is Joe Rogan talking to Theo Vaughn. And Theo Vaughn is just kind of like, I expect this from Joe. But it seems like Theo Vaughn is like bleeding his heart out. Like, do I just keep being, the funny guy that just has funny little quips here and there? Or do I start talking about real shit? Because he's done some of that on his show. I've seen it. And he seems to be genuinely fucking wanting to. And now he's talking about this. Joe Rogan is warning him. But he's basically saying exactly what he is doing to Theo right there. And Theo knows this. He already knows the game at this point. It's a very weird psychology that is happening live. I mean, we're watching this later on, but this was happening live. And it's interesting to see how this plays out. Pay attention to... the way that Theo Vaughn's a pretty confident guy, and he's like looking down a lot, and he's like really fucking like wrestling with stuff, and it's almost like a therapy session as opposed to like a comedy show, which got two comedians here, and it's more of a serious like discussion that Theo Vaughn is keeping it in this space. It's interesting.
I mean, you might not know that. That becomes a problem.
Yeah, I realize that. Some people are taking advantage of the fact that that they'll come on, and I sometimes have been a little bit naive to think that somebody would do that, but people do that.
Oh, 100%. Like heads of state, like if you're going to have someone who's the president of a country that's in the middle of a war and they want to come on your podcast and talk, you're not going to get anything objective. You're going to get them selling that they're the good guys.
It's honestly hilarious and kind of sad, watching both Joe and Theo dance around the truth. You can tell they both feel like they were duped, but they refuse to say by who. They'll tiptoe right up to the edge, allude to the regret, hint at the embarrassment, but they won't actually say the words Trump or Vance. Meanwhile, Theo is trying to have a real moment. He's trying to pour his heart out and talk about things we all know are eating at him, but every time he gets close, Joe cuts him off with an unrelated story. It's crazy because Joe used to be good at controlling conversations. Now it's just embarrassing.
I just feel it's like, when does it end? Like, when is it like...
It ends when they stop making money. As long as they can figure out a way to trick you into thinking that you need something, or you're not going to make any money. Did you know that tetanus, you were talking about tetanus, did you know tetanus is a bacteria?
It's tough to know who to trust. It's just tough to know where to trust things, so I think you just have to...
But there's a fact that we have had bioweapons research, and so has Russia.
I don't know. I feel...
He just keeps on going to talking points, like mainstream talking points, like Russia, China, China, as Trump says. It's very frustrating. I think Joe was read in on this. So the guy that commentates and narrates this, nothing against that person. I don't know who they are. Obviously, I'm highlighting their video here. But he says it's like they've both been duped. Now, Joe didn't get duped. Joe is fully read in on what's going to happen and how this is going to play out. He is told what to do. Theo Vaughn, maybe not so much, because his show isn't. He's not having on the Elon Musk and Peter. I mean, maybe he's had him on because I don't think he had Trump on. He might have had Vance on. Vance kind of did the Joe Rogan experience. He might have done Theo Vaughn. I don't think Theo Vaughn is as read in on things though as Joe Rogan is. He's been more established, and this is what he fucking does. It's a military operation. I thought Matthew North exposed that Jamie that does the production here, and there's a point here where they're asking some serious questions, and Jamie won't use his voice or say anything, but they say that Jamie is his father, is tied to the military. Something to look up. Hard to find this shit anymore after Matthew North exposed it. They've hidden a lot of shit on the internet. Anyways, Joe keeps reverting the conversation to other things. I don't think Theo Vaughn is as read in as Joe is what I want to say here, as what the narrator is saying. I don't think Joe was tricked. I think Joe knows exactly what the fuck is coming or what's going on. I disagree on that point. But it's obvious here as he tries to change the subject and bring up shit that's unrelated or takes it into a different direction. He just keeps doing it as Theo tries to point out some shit that's very serious.
The problem was, I would say that too, if I was in the middle of gain-of-function research. I'd say, this stuff is nothing. Don't worry about this. What I really worry about is chicken pox from chickens.
Yeah. Is that the big thing now?
I don't know.
Well, dude, in our... I just don't even know. It's like, I don't know if they'd want to wipe us all out, though, because then there's nobody for these, dark lords to play with, I feel like.
I don't think they want to wipe us all out, but I think they want to keep us as controlled as possible, as scared as possible. Do you see what they did in Canada? They just shot 300 ostriches for no reason.
I wish Joe would let Theo talk more and stop interrupting him. Joe definitely got the call recently. Joe got visited at night because boy he sure steers away from certain stuff now. And the more Joe keeps dodging certain topics and doing a terrible job at controlling the narrative, the more rogue Theo goes. A perfect example is when Joe tries to pivot the conversation by asking Theo about performing in the Middle East. Theo talks about how great it was, but then he says he was afraid for his life. But based on everything he had been saying earlier, it becomes obvious he wasn't too concerned about the people of Qatar. And Joe, of course, changes the subject immediately.
They're going to Qatar this
I was going to go.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a long-ass flight, son.
I know. I went over there.
They're going to make you put on the outfit?
I put on the outfit already once.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Were you thinking maybe I could live here if I get in trouble?
I thought they were going to take my life and not let me come back. To be honest. Not them, but you just never know in the Middle East what's going on, you know?
Yeah. What does that outfit mean?
And while they're still on the subject of the Middle East, Joe finally cracks
And they just kind of like breezed over that. I mean, why would you go to Qatar if you did something wrong? And what was that fucking joke? It's not even funny. That's like a joke that's like for people only in the know. And then Theo was like, honestly, I thought they were going to take my life and not let me ever leave because who knows what's going on in the Middle East. Like, because no one knows what's actually going on in the fucking world, Middle East, anywhere because every fucking form of media lies. And I just saw a fucking other post where they saved like 17 children from human trafficking. And then fucking David Snedeker, a Q guy, was like, 17! Like, oh man, dude. Yeah, it's all about the 17. It's not about, the human trafficking. It's about a calm from fucking Q. It's fucking, I fucking hate this media fucking situation that we're in. So we do the best that we can. But I don't know what the fuck that joke was that Joe made because that makes no sense. If you did something wrong, you're going to go to Qatar? Why the fuck would you go to Qatar?
mentions Trump by name. But even then, the only thing Joe will allow himself to say is, yeah, it's crazy what plans Trump has for Gaza. And then he just laughs. Not because it's funny, but because he has no idea how to talk about it without stepping on a landmine. Meanwhile, Theo is sitting there looking genuinely concerned, like he's the only sane person in the room.
Trump said the wildest shit of all time, that we're going to take over and we're going to turn it into the, what did he say, the Mediterranean of the Middle East? What the fuck are you saying?
It's not fucking funny, Joe.
That was one of those things that made people go, wait, is he really crazy?
Right, what's going on?
How are we going to take over? How are you going to take it? It's like when he was talking about Greenland, like maybe we're going to take Greenland. Like,
yeah.
Hey, what? Why do they want Greenland? Well, let's ask Perplexity.
Joe and Theo end up becoming these perfect opposite examples of how people deal with grief. Joe's version of processing anything heavy is to crack a joke, force a laugh, and pretend it's not actually happening. Theo, on the other hand, looks genuinely disturbed. He's sitting there absorbing what's being said, taking it personally, and you can see the weight of it hitting him in real time. He's not laughing because he thinks it's funny. He's laughing because he has no other way to survive the conversation. And I think both of them are bummed that they bought into this idea that this election was the most important one ever, and that this one would change everything. But now, watching everything play out, especially with the Epstein files, they realize it's all a joke and that they were duped into being part of it. But no matter how many jokes Joe cracks or how many times he tries to steer the ship into calmer water, Theo is there to touch on every topic that comes with a Wikipedia disclaimer. It's honestly the funniest part of the episode, the tension between a guy who's waking up and a guy who's doing everything he can to keep the people asleep.
Antarctica.
Yes, that is the most interesting aspect. And I haven't watched this whole interview, and I might go watch the whole thing if I can find the time. But Theo's a funny fucking guy. Like, he's really good at cracking jokes, but he ain't laughing. And he keeps bringing it back to these important discussions that they're going to get into a little bit more here. But Joe Rogan was not duped. Like I said, this narrator, these guys were not duped. I mean, Theo Vaughn, I think, was duped, but I don't think Joe Rogan was. I think he's fully read in. Because
Antarctica's all white, so they go out there and they see things on the ground that are meteors.
Is it true they won't let us up there, or is that true that's a myth?
No, there's places where you're not supposed to fly, but there's a bunch of reasons for that. One of them, I'm sure they're probably doing military research up there, but also, so they have restricted airspace, but also it's really dangerous. And if you crash, they want to have to rescue you. Like, there's nothing up there. Like, you will die, most likely. And they don't want to have to try to die going to get you. It's sketchy going up there.
They don't care about humans' well-being. They let people climb Everest, and if they don't make it, they stay up there. I have no idea why we can't go up there either, but if someone were to ask me, I wouldn't spout off every state-sponsored safe answer there was. As the conversation goes on, Theo keeps trying to pour his heart out the way he does on his podcast. But Joe just keeps hijacking the moment with genius takes, like humanity is on its way out. Which leads to Joe defending Peter Thiel, insisting he isn't an evil man.
Life is an interesting experience.
Yeah.
It really, truly is. But it can be awesome and it can suck. And the reason why it's awesome is because it can suck. Like you need them all.
Yeah.
While we're human. And I think we have only so much sand left in that hourglass. Where the humans are on the way out. I know a lot of people hate it when Peter Thiel says it. Like, Peter Thiel is a terrible person. He's evil.
Do you think he is?
No. I think he's just telling you the truth. I think
No, he's just telling you the truth. These people are fucking leading humanity in this direction. That is fucking evil. He's not just telling the truth. These people are helping. They're just Peter Thiel is a low end fucking puppet. The real people that are pulling the strings, you'll never know, you'll never see, and that's part of their secret society. But yes, Carlton, these are both comedians. Yes, I actually went because I was big into Joe Rogan. Used to watch listen to his show, watch his show, whatever format, long drives to work and stuff like that. When I had a commute to go to Starbucks, Joe Rogan's comedy is more of like extremism, like he has to use loud voices and do like kind of insane things. Like he can't just stand up there with the mic and crack jokes. He's not that kind of comedian. He's not funny like that. It has to be like he has to do extreme shit and make fun of stuff and scream and do voices and all that kind of stuff. But he's not really that funny. Like in the world of comedians, Joe Rogan doesn't rank in the greats. Not even close, and neither do anybody that he has on his fucking show. I watched it live, like before a UFC event, and then I got pictures taken with him and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, God damn, that's a manly beard. I had a beard kind of like this when I met him. But overall, it's kind of like Dane Cook was early on, where Dane Cook had to be really extreme in order to get people's attention. He would never be considered one of the greats. He can't hold a microphone and just tell jokes and make people fall off their fucking chair. Not once. But Theo Vaughn does some stand-up. He's pretty funny, but he's a very witty guy. Like his podcast, he can make jokes like none other. I think his father, Theo Vaughn that is, was like 70 when Theo was born. So his father was really old. But he had like a very interesting life. So just off of his life experience, he has kind of like the mullet kind of thing. I can't remember exactly where it was. Hillbilly kind of growing up. But he told this one, he has people on and he told this one story where it's like his stories are just funny. His life is interesting in the sense of like what he went through and then the way that he can tell it. But he says that his dad made him bury his sperm. So if he masturbated, his dad at 70, a very religious man, said that was of God and that it needed to be buried in the backyard. It's like crazy shit like that. But he's an interesting guy with his stories, and then he's witty, and he thinks like really well. That's why this is very interesting, because you go on the Joe Rogan Experience expecting, you already know what to kind of expect if you hear that Theo Vaughn's going on Joe Rogan, because they are both comedians, so it's going to be a funny show, a lighthearted. And Theo just keeps bringing it into Peter Thiel, Palantir, drones, what they're really doing in the world. It's fucking crazy, man. Let's get back to it.
He's, when they said, do you think human beings should survive? And he had like this long pause.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And then the interviewer was like, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. You think human beings should, which is not how you're supposed to do an interview. Well, at least not how I do it.
I love that Joe, what am I supposed to do, pushback Rogan, is actually giving a critique on someone's interviewing skills. Rogan, a man whose platform has become a megaphone for propaganda, suddenly acting like he's the arbiter of proper interviewing technique. Meanwhile, Theo is trying to talk about real-life issues, the things people actually care about. And Joe, in his infinite wisdom, goes full abstract philosopher mode. Life has to suck to be good, and it can be good because it sucks. Then somehow he manages to slip in his ultimate take. Humans are on their way out. And not only that, the guy actively contributing to that trajectory, not a terrible person. You can tell Theo is getting tired of it, so he just starts trolling Joe.
Yeah, how much longer does Israel let us stay alive, do you think? That's the big question.
Why are they...
What did you say? Is that AI?
What are you saying?
That's Sora?
What are you saying?
I didn't say anything.
What are you saying?
Huh? Talking about Israel Adesanya.
Oh, Well, he loves you. Don't worry about it.
Good call.
He brings up Israel, and if you don't know who Israel Adesanya is, he's a UFC fighter. So Theo Vaughn once again inserts Israel into the conversation, which I think there is an aspect of the whole like the Jews are evil and Israel is evil and all that kind of stuff that is being played in a way so that people turn on them at some point and they destroy the temple. Oh, I don't know all that shit. Anyways, yes, a real comedian, but likely fully controlled. But at the end, did he like do a Theo Vaughn here? Like, I'm not saying Theo's suicidal, and I'm not saying George Carlin was suicidal, but it seemed like George Carlin, once he had the fucking stage and the name, his final act was fucking telling the truth. And then what happened to him? He didn't last much longer after his last tour. Jim Brewer's another one. I thought about getting into it on this one, but I don't, we can. He has some questionable people on though. I wanted to love Jim Brewer. I liked him for a long time, but he does shows with like Roseanne, and he has various people on. Let me look up real quick. The Brunaverse, I think, is what he calls it. But Jim Brewer, he's another comedian, half baked. Is this his actual channel? Let me show you guys this. I don't know if this is his actual channel. I guess it would be. Okay, stop sharing that, and then share this. I'm going to show you guys. So Jim Brewer, just so you guys, if you guys don't know who Jim Brewer is, it's this guy right here. This must be 187,000. That would make sense that his channel would be about that on Rumble. He's also on, I think, the other platforms, but he has some people on, like Stephen Baldwin putting out all those cryptic messages that really feeds the Q crowd. I fucking hate that shit. And then he has on Sheriff Richard Mack, which goes back all the way to the Bundy situation. During the Bundy situation, he fucked a lot of that shit up, and it goes on with Scott McKay, and he's like a fraud. We could get into that conversation at another time, but fuck Richard Mack. Sean Stone, son of Oliver Stone, I believe, but he even on one of his shows talked about how he goes to his lodge like he's a fucking Freemason. So Sean Stone's a Freemason, so he's got him going on there. Some of these people I don't know. Maybe they're lower-end comedians or something. But he has various people on where I'm like, I don't know, man. However, I'm open to that conversation. Maybe for a different show. There are things that I like about Jim Brewer, and then I think that he's just maybe one of them. What's up, Colin? Colin in the house. What else we got going on there? I know you were saying maybe I would love to. I'd love to have a conversation with Theo Vaughn. I'd be fucking nervous as shit, but it would be interesting. Non-vaxxer has tons of data on why people are pissed at Israel. Their country is leading. Yes, that is one thing that is true about Israel. Let's get back to this so we have it on the screen so we don't miss our spot. But yes, and Canada is a big part of that, as he points out, and non-vaxxer is in Canada. But as non-vaxxer pointed out to me, Israel is leading the biodigital convergence. There's just something about it, though. I think that they eventually want people to hate. It's like, I don't see the elite Jews at the top of the pyramid. There's a lot of people at the top of a pyramid, but they are pointing that out, and it is becoming more obvious. And as Theo Vaughn's pointing out, it's like, how can you ignore it? What Israel is doing and the effects they have. And this is crazy to me. I just wanted to point out real quick. We got 69 people on Rumble, and we have 93 on YouTube. This is the first time that YouTube has ever beat out fucking Rumble. This is kind of crazy. So welcome all the YouTubers or people that have chosen that platform to come on. Welcome. I never thought YouTube would play nice, but here we are. So this is a first for D-Mind to Boomasan, having more people tuning in on YouTube than on Rumble. That's crazy.
What are you saying, son?
Yeah,
what did he say? What did he say about the Epstein files?
What did he say?
What's hilarious is that Theo gives up and goes on a mission to expose Rogan. And Joe's vibe is like, come on, man. That Spotify money is nice. What are you trying to do to me here? As the podcast goes on, Theo addresses the clip of him the government used in an ICE ad, which coincidentally happened around the same time as Charlie Kirk. So Theo took it as a veiled threat. He tries to get into it multiple times, but every single time, Joe shuts it down and changes the topic.
You were just joking around because you were talking to a guy who's his friend. And this was quite a while ago, too, right? When was that video?
Yeah, I don't know. I it could have been like a year and a half ago or something. I don't remember. But that was crazy.
But it was
like,
it was a joke,
yeah,
right?
She's like a friend. I don't know if she said a friend of mine got deported. I can't remember what she said. But she's like, what? Do you have anything to say to him, right? And I was like, bye. You know?
Yeah.
I'm clowning around. I have no idea if it's real or not. I have no idea.
You have no idea. It's literally someone just handed you a phone. And then Homeland Security, was that what it was?
Yeah, just put it up online. And it was
it
after the
Homeland
Charlie
Security?
Kirk thing. Yeah. And so then I was like super scared, you remember? Yeah. Remember, I was texting like you. I was just texting people to make sure everybody's okay. I didn't know if they were like just going to kill people that had been on TikTok or whatever. Like, I had no idea what they were going to do.
I just can't believe they did that with you, where they just put it in there as if like you were endorsing that.
Well, it just kind of, and it was just a scary time. That was the same time as
Who
after the Charlie Kirk thing.
That? Who greenlit that?
Probably just some fucking trap beat,
but you know
con
what I'm
artist
saying?
or whatever.
Like if a company did that, you could sue them. You know what I'm saying? Like if it was privatized.
Theo was genuinely scared after Charlie Kirk.
Yes. And so what I see here, and I'm not saying I'm right, but, and I didn't watch this video before. I just kind of skimmed through it or whatnot. I didn't really do a lot of deep thinking on this. You're getting my watch party reaction. This is like kind of like one of those reaction videos or whatever. But I saw a little bit of this when I was watching through really fast to see what it was all about. And I really like this video. Like I said, I'll have the link to this creator down below. I disagreed on him. I think Joe is way more in the know than what he's saying. But when I see Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn having this exchange where Theo is like saying like, they literally like, I was paranoid because of something that the Homeland Security or some shit also posted out there, but someone created. I don't know. The whole thing about here, Theo Vaughn says he was paranoid about reaction to DHS, Department of Homeland Security, using his video after Charlie Kirk shooting. So like it was like I took this as, or I'm taking it as I watch this, Joe Rogan saying like, yeah, motherfucker, get in line or they will fucking kill you. And you're fucking doing this on my show, and it's not going to help your cause. While acting like he's trying to be his friend. But I think the fucking psychology of the minds between these two right now is that Theo Vaughn's starting to talk about some real shit and put it out there, and they don't like it. And this is how they fucking start to silence you. They put fucking pressure on you. And even Theo Vaughn, as large as he is already, he was paranoid. And he's going to get into the story a little bit more. But I see this as Joe Rogan saying, yeah, motherfucker, you keep acting like this, and they are going to fucking destroy you. That's what I see going on here.
He clearly suspects the same entities responsible for that might not be thrilled with some of the things he said on his podcast. He was so concerned he didn't even feel safe at the doctor's office. But every time he tries to actually address it, Joe changes the subject. It's frustrating to watch. Theo wants to have an honest discussion, and Joe keeps steering the dialogue.
But yeah, that was scary, man. Because then I got because there was just like a lot of threats, and then things got like then it was just kind of that made me kind of paranoid. Yeah. And then my mom was visiting, and we went to the doctor. I went to the doctor. I was just getting something looked at or something, you know. And I was in the doctor's office, and there was a nurse asking me questions or whatever, blah blah blah. And then she's like, I have something for you. I was like, huh? And she's like, oh, I brought you something. Can I give it to you? And I was like, I'm at a doctor's office, like something she'd made, something, I don't know.
For you?
Yes.
Oh, she's a fan?
Something. And normally I think it might have been like, okay, let me, like, but I was just like, it was such a weird time. And my mom was visiting, and it was like, after the Charlie Kirk thing, it was just super scary. You just didn't know what was going on. Like, watching that guy get killed was crazy. Like, it was, and...
you know what's crazy to me is the way people reacted. That scared me just as much as watching him get shot.
Well, yeah. And let me think about that in just a second. I'm just thinking through the end of this, if you don't mind, real quick. Sorry, I know you're not interrupting.
No worries.
Like, Joe's getting really sloppy with pushing a narrative. Theo brings up how Larry Ellison just bought 1/6 of America's news media. And Joe's just like, well, who knows how he's going to run his company? We'll have to wait and see. But you know who's being real sticklers? It's the darn Chinese and the bots.
No, I'm not saying that Larry Ellison's company is going to do a great job of being totally objective and letting people criticize Israel, letting people criticize Hamas. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see. I'd be crazy
Yeah,
to
I don't
say.
know. I never met that guy. I don't know anything about that.
It'd be
company.
crazy for me to say any differently. But it's not safe to have a foreign country that is actively trying to fuck with the way people have discourse in America, which is certainly what China's doing. They do it.
All right, I got to address this comment. I didn't know this. This will be interesting to add an addition, and thank you, Bear Pickle. Theo's last name is Vaughn Kernatowski, and traces back to the elite bloodlines. Let's not kid ourselves here. But that doesn't necessarily itself mean that, because people can be bloodlines and that doesn't make them just automatically evil. However, it is something to take into consideration. I agree with that. I don't trust Theo Vaughn. This all could have been a setup to get more of like the people, because like, man, you would almost argue, especially with what's going on in the world getting so crazy after COVID, that they would push more and more people into this like grift fucking gravy, like the truther movement, if you will. Whatever touches into the truther movement makes people fucking tons of money, and maybe they are trying to get some of the conspiracy theorists to go towards Theo Vaughn. I am open to that. However, it seemed genuine. So if not, Theo Vaughn, fucking acting job, amazing. However, this needs to be taken into consideration. But not all bloodline families, not all people in the bloodlines fall in line, if you will. But that is fucking huge. And thank you for sharing that, Bear Pickle. What do we got here? What was Joe's first show called where his contestants would eat? Fear Factor. Bugs and complete obstacle courses. I like that show, but I knew kind of who he was when he started this show. Yeah, it was Fear Factor. I mean, Joe Rogan was willing to do anything to become rich and famous. But he was also on a show. I can't remember the name of it, but he was on a TV series. He's not a good actor, but you don't have to always be like a great actor to play some of these parts. And that's what I would think. Yep. But like I was saying earlier, the only thing that I wonder, because like I said, it seemed very convincing with the body language and the way that Theo was doing this, and the fact that the DHS like put out something after the Charlie Kirk thing that enraged a lot of people, was the wondering if some of these people every once in a while, I mean, it's just like, when Britney Spears shaved her head and they go a little bit off the reservation, if you will, once they realize like that their family isn't going to be protected, like this is going to fuck up humanity, and all the shit that they have planned for us is so horrific that even they have like a little bit of a heart. So there's a little bit of an argument. Some people think Theo is going to do some work more for the good side, if you will. Good in this world, I don't know. Maybe he's having a change of heart and finding Christ, if you will. But these are the things that's why I would say never trust anybody, not even Theo Vaughn here. However, this is an amazing acting job if it was all a setup to get more conspiracy theorists to embrace Theo and grow his audience towards that direction, and especially with what's going on in the world, because it's almost like, we've always been like, oh, I wish my parents and family and people would wake up. It's getting to a point where everybody's starting to talk a little bit about stuff like, what the fuck's going on with this Israel thing and Gaza, and why is this Ukraine-Russia war still going on when Trump said that he was going to end it in 24 hours? Those kind of conversations are happening even for the normies, as people call them. So it's interesting. But don't trust Theo Vaughn. I'm not saying to trust him, but those were some great additions, Bear Pickle. And I do agree. That would be the side to lean towards, because I don't trust anybody. That's what I found in this. I thought Ryan Garcia, a boxer, who was talking about, that he was alleged that he went to Bohemian Grove and got raped or something like that, and taken and had been raised in this shit, and he was going to expose it. And then that fool is just a controlled op piece of shit. Fuck Ryan Garcia, that fake and fraud. So I don't trust Theo, but at the same time, it is interesting. If Theo faked the way he grew up poor and got started, then he did a good job. Yeah, and his story could be legit, but once you, how do you, you only are allowed to grow so big before you, do some kind of a deal. Which is what I agree with some of the conversations that are happening here, is that you can only, if you're going to get to be, as big as he's gotten on YouTube and influence wise and getting to go on the big shows, at some point you did do something to accept that. But some of them, like I said, go off the reservation once they like really start to realize like I am helping to destroy my fellow man. And Theo Vaughn kind of seems like he still has a heart. I don't know, guys, but it's a good discussion to have. So keep it coming. Great conversation. Thank you.
On X. So Chinese bots, they swarm X, and there was a former FBI analyst. We read this article 100 times. His estimation, this is right around the time Elon was buying Twitter, that it could be as much as 80% bots.
It's hilarious watching Rogan age in real time. He's officially past his uncle who lifts weights and says wild stuff at barbecues era, and he's going full steam into the boomer beliefs phase. And the funniest part is, I think Joe genuinely believes he's being smooth about it. Theo will bring up something real, something that people want to hear about, and Joe goes straight into China bad. It's like a reflex at this point. Like he thinks he's doing some CIA Bill Hicks level sleight of hand. And finally you can see Theo hit that point.
Did you see him just do that? He threw up Alex Jones on the screen there and just said Bill Hicks sleight of hand. He got into it. How do I find that?
Twitter, that it could be as much as 80% bots.
It's hilarious watching Rogan age in real time. He's officially past his uncle who lifts weights and says wild stuff at barbecues era, and he's going full steam into the boomer beliefs phase. And the funniest part is, I think Joe genuinely believes he's being smooth about it. Theo will bring up something real, something that people want to hear about, and Joe goes straight into China bad. It's like a reflex at this point. Like he thinks he's doing some CIA Bill Hicks level sleight of hand.
Bill Hicks level sleight of hand, and then he puts Alex Jones on there, and he just sneaks it in. Well fucking done, sir. The guy that has this channel. Fucking well fucking done. And what I just released on my YouTube channel. It's been on the Rumble, and I cut a couple of pieces of fat out of it because I was kind of pissed off at the time with all the trolls that were coming in. But he just snuck this in there, Bill Hicks sleight of hand with Alex Jones on the screen. I fucking love it!
And finally you can see Theo hit that point. The alright, enough dancing around. He just lets it out there. Let's call out Palantir on some truly devious stuff and see how Joe reacts.
It's sketchy times.
Well, it's sketchy times. I mean, the same company, that company Palantir, that was doing all that crazy stuff in Gaza, in Gaza, and they were like, running
what were they doing?
All the drones and stuff like this, allegedly.
What are you talking about? What are you saying they did?
That they had were compiling data on people that were there, and they were operating a lot of the drones in the sky that also had weapons attached to them.
Okay, so you mean like facial recognition data?
Right.
Do they have that capability with drones, where they could just zoom around? Is this horseshit? Is it real? Jamie's not even willing to talk on camera. He's just.
Joe's acting like, is this real? This is where it's like, it seems like so fucking genuine that Theo Vaughn is saying, like, this is happening over other places, but Palantir literally got a contract over here in the United States too, and they've been doing this surveillance shit. And Joe Rogan's acting like, is this real that drones can do facial recognition and they could have weapons on them? Like, are you fucking serious? Like, this is a bad acting job on Joe's part, or a purposeful bad acting part. You could argue, I guess.
He's giving
I'll be
winks
quiet,
and nods.
Dan.
I'm sure they do.
But we have a
no.
They got a
listen.
big contract in America now, which is scary to me. That's what's scary to me. That a drone could go by. That maybe that's what happened to Charlie Kirk. Who knows? Maybe a drone. You just have no who you can even point the finger at. A bullet comes out of the middle of nowhere.
True.
That's a kind of. I'm not saying I'm paranoid about it all the time.
Against that.
I'm just saying I have.
Listen.
Okay. So
you're right. However, China's making drones.
Joe, what am I supposed to do?
Whoa. What the fuck? They literally just took me down off of YouTube. What the fuck? Let me look into this real quick, guys. We'll come back to that. This is interesting. For all of you that are still on Substack, and it looks like I'm still good on there, and I'm good on Rumble. But this shit I just got taken down off of YouTube for policy. What the fuck? Really? Well, everybody, I'm going to put the Rumble link into... I have never... Wow. Okay. I'm going to put the Rumble link so you guys can come over. We're going to continue this on Rumble. Wow. Why? What would this be a policy breaking of? Because I'm doing a reaction video or a watch party, adding commentary. Interesting. I'm going to stop sharing this. My YouTube is still up, isn't it? Wow. Stream unavailable, suspended for policy violations. There you go, people. That's what I've been afraid of with regards to YouTube. So I'll address that later, but let's continue the show. Fucking crazy. This is fucking crazy. All right, let's get to the rest of this. Boom.
Supposed to do push back Rogan, actually pushing back for once in his life. But of course he doesn't do it to a politician or a billionaire who thinks human life will be replaced. He does it to Theo, the only guy in the room who's actually trying to have a real conversation. And the wild part, Joe only pushes back to defend his neocon buddy's reputation. He goes from question everything to, hey man, let's not be unfair with my billionaire friends real quick. In the funniest and saddest moment of the whole episode, Joe turns to Jamie and asks, completely seriously, do you know if it's possible to put cameras on drones and have them zoom around? And you can see it on Theo's face. He's just defeated. Like he finally realizes that the Joe Rogan experience has become a parody of itself. The biggest podcast in the world reduced to billionaire PR.
I don't know if it is truly that they're mostly killing women and children.
Yeah.
Or if a good percentage of them have actually been Hamas agents. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the
'Cause
scary...
that's what Israel says, right? They say that a lot of them were Hamas.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like 2-year-old Hamas agents they were finding shooting. Which, who knows? I don't know, you know, who knows?
Well, I bet they probably think about him as future.
There's a lot of
especially
smart
now
kids.
when you've...
Okay, so what the fuck now? YouTube's back up. I'm sorry for that interruption, and all I did was address while you were away, if you're while you were still on YouTube, and I showed on the screen, they put me back up. Like I'm saying, YouTube, this is a reaction video, a watch party. You can't fucking take me down for this shit. And then, like I said, the crazy thing is this is the first time that I have done a stream where YouTube has gotten more viewers. Now people have jumped over to Rumble, and welcome to Rumble, where this shit shouldn't happen. But it seems to be back. Yeah, they put me back up on YouTube. Okay. So for you on YouTube, it had been temporarily suspended, and they put me back up. And let me make sure. I'm going to refresh this shit. Live. All right. We're going to continue the show and see what happens on the YouTube end of things. It's going to be really weird how that gets uploaded, considering they took it down for a moment. But I have seen, so real quick, and we'll get back to the end of this, and we'll continue this because something juicy's going on. But, like, and I've exposed a ton of the truthers, and I've fucking done it over and over again, and that's the stuff that I'm going to be uploading to my YouTube and stuff like that. Most of the videos can't be monetized, which is fine. You shouldn't be getting any commercials, and you shouldn't be getting any fucking commercials during this live either. But I've exposed Nino, and what Nino does oftentimes is he'll do an episode live, but then he takes it down because he doesn't want to get censored by YouTube. Well, why, if they're capable of doing this live on a small channel like mine, of taking somebody down live, why would they not nuke Nino? It's always been my question when he's like staying on YouTube while all the other fucking truthers, now a lot of them got reinstated, but I'm telling you, over the time while all these people lost their YouTubes, Nino he left on there and growing a platform. This is bullshit. This is why, as excited as I am for the way that I can do stuff on YouTube, this is why I'm spreading it out to YouTube. And I'm on Rumble's my main channel still, Substack, and then the Odyssey is in. I mean, if I gotta call on the Odyssey, and bring it into the play, we're going to. So let's get back to this shit. But holy smokes, that was crazy and ridiculous, YouTube. But thankfully, thank you for bringing me back on. If a human is actually paying attention to this, maybe you don't like the idea that the biodigital convergence is coming out of Israel and being led by Israel. You're not going to stop me from saying shit. Anyways, all right. Get a view. Let's get back to this. We're almost done with this one, and then I want to touch on this other channel. And this is a watch party, motherfuckers.
you've blown up their fucking city.
Oh.
You know, I mean, how many, if there were terrorists there, how many are created by watching something like that happen? Quite a bit.
Well, the thing for me, I just thought like that America would come help at some point. That was a scary. I think that's when I just thought like, oh, I just have a different concept of what's going on. Or also, these are just my thoughts. I don't know what's going on. And I don't need anybody to believe my thoughts or think the same way I do. I think the thing that made me nervous was that same company, Palantir, got a deal in America to create a database and help with like surveillance and stuff. So that just makes me scared, you know, and made me a little bit nervous. Not scared, but just like a little bit like, what's going on here? Are we going to enter a surveillance state, you know?
That's all I got.
That's the conversation, and I'm gonna link down to. I'm gonna link to this. I already did, I believe, on the Rumble and the YouTube. But I have one more channel that I wanted to show, and I'm still up on YouTube again, so this is gonna be interesting. I think that is the big question. I think that Theo Vaughn throwing that out there though doesn't seem like an acting job. Like that seems like a legit thing. So we should watch and see. Like if Theo Vaughn ends up in a car accident or something happens to him, I'm going to be paying a little bit of attention to that. I'm not saying trust the guy, but those are the talking points that need to be discussed. And please, yes, keep liking this shit. And people that are asking, Rumble does do shit too. They do it in a different way than just straight up taking people down. They censor, they unsubscribe, they hide streams, they freeze them and make your experience so bad that you leave. And I appreciate you all that stick it out through these deals. This is the situation that I've been surprised that YouTube has been as kind to me as they have. And here we are, making a little bit more traction on the YouTube and, bringing up the Jews and Israel. I'm not trying to be anti-Semitic, but I'm not going to lie. Like, look at all the porn companies. Who are they owned by? They're often owned by fucking Jewish elite. A lot of the media is owned by Jewish elite. However, I do think that there is a psyop there, and they want people to pay more attention to that the Jewish elite and all that kind of stuff, because eventually they're going to go after. They're going to turn on Israel at some point. Is my that's my prediction, and that's Lizarachi. Something juicy's going on here. All right. I mean, anything could be a fucking psyop. Maybe they're fucking with me, and I don't know, man. I've wondered how big do you get before they start to like approach you somehow. Now, I've had certain people reach out to me where I thought this might be it. Like I had the guys of Died Suddenly reach out to me, but I think they just wanted to try to get to Sabrina Wallace. But I, like you have certain things, not that they're a big deal or nothing like that, but the next level, like if they're gonna start trying to do stuff, maybe this is something that's trying to get my channel attention. So fucking think of anything, man. Like I said, no one needs to trust me for a damn thing either. I am doing my best though, and it seems like when you do try to bring the truth in this world, they got a problem with that shit. I mean, who owns YouTube? Who owns Rumble? Peter Thiel's in on that. So here we go. So this other channel that I wanted to show, which also seems like it's podcast cringe, and I just want to show some of it because they actually go into some of the Peter Thiel interviews and stuff and such. But it seems like they focus on a lot of what's going on the Joe Rogan Experience too, and this is a massive channel. That's why I don't get why I'm getting censored here. I mean, I'm adding my commentary. It's a watch party and a reaction video. Those are all over the internet. YouTube too. But anyways, all these guys, Bert Kreischer, kind of funny, but not in any realm of a comedian. Brian Callen does a show with a guy named Brendan Schaub, which was a heavyweight fighter, and he was an awful fighter, but won some fights that he never should have won. And so it's The Fighter and the Kid, and I used to watch that. Brian Callen, he got accused of doing something with I don't know if it was multiple women that came out against him during the Me Too thing, and yet he survived that. So there's that. He's a comedian too. Not funny either. This guy, this Asian dude's kind of funny. And then this guy, Shane Gillis. Oh, I said his name wrong earlier. Shane Gillis is the guy that's kind of blowing up. And if you don't know who he is, he's also got a TV show and all this kind of stuff. So he all in the club, the Shane Gillis. showing up on roast, and then obviously Jake Paul and whatnot. But it seems like this channel focuses on exposing a lot of people to go on the Joe Rogan Experience, and this is kind of where we're going to go to. Anyways, I wanted to show that and give them that credit. I'm not trying to steal their freaking material. I'm just doing a watch party, motherfuckers, reaction videos, and seeing what people think about some of these other freaking channels. Give me a break, YouTube. Anyways, back to the Theo Vaughn interview. This is the same interview that we were covering on that other channel, but this is where it's going to get into some of the stuff that Peter Thiel has said, and then some of the times that Joe Rogan has had on guys like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, the techno bros, the technocrats. Let's get it.
He's just telling you the truth.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in this.
Should the human race survive?
Yes.
Okay.
But I also would I also would like us to radically solve these problems.
Right.
And so, you know, it's always, I don't know, you know, yeah, transhumanism is this, you know, the ideal was this radical transformation where your human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body. And there's a critique of, let's say, the trans people in a sexual context, or I don't know, transvestite. It's so pathetically little. And okay, we want more than cross-dressing or changing your sex organs. We want you to be able to change your heart and change your mind and change your whole body.
You know, when they said, "Do you think human beings should survive?" and he had like this long pause.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And then the interviewer was like, "The answer is yes. The answer is yes." Human beings should-" Which is not how you're supposed to do an interview. Well, at least not how I do it. If you watch my podcast I did with,
So we're going to get in. He's going to show a little bit of that in this podcast, but I'm just checking if YouTube's still up. But yes, people are also getting kicked off of Rumble. Wow, this is just a nice little coffee shop talk. But this is why I am on all these other platforms. And so YouTube can take me down, and I'll just send people over to Rumble. That's not what you want, YouTube. And then Rumble, you start taking people down, then I'll send them to Substack. Then I'll send them to X, and we'll find out if Elon Musk will start taking me down off of X if we got to do that. But a lot of people don't want to be on X because X is fucking like ridiculous. It's awful. And so, anyways, Peter Thiel talking about. So Peter Thiel's also doing like a series on the Antichrist. Why would a gay Peter Thiel be doing anything about the Antichrist? It's like, I don't think he would be the Antichrist. I would think of a Mr. Beast, and I got to get back to Mr. Beast because Mr. Beast is making some moves that I was already calling out a while ago. Not that I'm a big deal or nothing like that, but I saw like Mr. Beast is like the face of the nice guy that kids love, and he also, you know, gets adults and makes them think that he's a philanthropist and a beautiful human being for what he does. And yet he had on what they're kind of talking about, that a trans, you know what, on with him, and caused a lot of controversy on the Mr. Beast show. And now Peter Thiel's talking about how they want to change eyes and fucking body parts and all this stuff. Yes, YouTube, get ready to rumble. Oh my gosh, welcome. Some of you people, I don't know how some of you people are finding me now, but if you didn't know, and we're going to get right back to this, YouTube took me down for a moment and then jumped me back on. It's been a very strange stream, and welcome everybody. Give it a thumbs up if you can, and let's keep fighting these algorithms and see what happens. Let's see if this video actually ends up getting to stay up on the YouTube side of things. So let's get back to it. So we're covering Joe Rogan when he had Theo Vaughn on and questioning whether or not Theo Vaughn was actually trying to speak truth about what's going on, the worry about he never says biodigital convergence, but he talks about drones, surveillance state, brings up Gaza, and then a little bit of Epstein and the things that Joe Rogan is now moving away from because that's the narrative.
him is these long ass stammers where he's like, everything he does, he wants to be very careful before he answers it. So he wants to consider what he's saying.
Joe, what am I going to do? Push back Rogan. Bragging about his interviewing skills is peak comedy. he gave more pushback against Theo Vaughn in one episode of JRE than he did with any political figure or billionaire over the last 18 months. All of those guys know that going on JRE is a slam dunk because Joe will sit there and eat up their propaganda without even the slightest scrutiny. Just recently, he had Elon Musk on the show and asked him about the Tesla Roadster, which was supposed to be released almost 10 years ago, and Elon's response is, yeah, no, we're going to release a flying car instead because Peter Thiel said we should have flying cars, so he should get what he wants. Bro, stick to releasing the original fucking idea before you worry about making promises to Peter Thiel about flying cars. And I haven't forgotten how he completely shut down the idea of flying cars in a previous JRE episode because they would be too loud. But don't worry about that for now. I've got to be in my bonnet about Elon's empty promises because Joe's biggest blind spot at the moment is Elon's good friend, Peter Thiel. When Theo brought up Palantir's surveillance software that was used in Gaza, the UK, and now domestically in the US, Joe was either playing dumb on purpose or genuinely had no idea that's what Peter Thiel's company actually did. And
Joe Rogan was not playing dumb. He knows exactly what it is, and he was trying to change the conversation. But the ending of the last video that we were having a reaction video to ended with Theo saying that he's worried about a surveillance state. He's worried about this Palantir thing and surveilling American citizens. Rightfully so. And now this guy on this channel is also discussing that. And this one's called The Joe Rogan Experience is Dead. I'll link to it down below. Like I said, I don't know these channels. It seems like they do focus on the Joe Rogan thing, which is what I wanted to do when I worked with a guy named Juxtaposition that has a lot of great information. He thinks the Comedy Store is a complete military operation. And I would say that, and I was telling him the Joe Rogan Experience has now eclipsed what the Comedy Store does now. And I would argue is probably a military operation bigger than the Comedy Store is at this time. Back in the day, Comedy Store, sure. And then you have a lot of comedians still connected to the Comedy Store, so the argument there. But that's what we're covering here. And we're exposing Joe Rogan as being controlled opposition while wondering if Theo Vaughn is legitimately either acting to get more people to come to his channel. He's already got, I think someone said 50 million subscribers. Not saying that he's looking for that. Why would these guys not want to grow no matter what? But the question is whether or not he actually is seeing the writing on the wall and wondering if he should, he needs to speak more about truth as opposed to just being a funny guy that has, clips out there of him saying hilarious, weird shit. Maybe he wants to actually, maybe he has a heart. That's the question. Does Theo Vaughn actually have a heart, or is he acting? Is this all acting? It seems to be horrible acting on Joe Rogan, but is it done on purpose? I don't fucking know, man. But let's watch this because I love that people are exposing the controlled opposition network, which is the Joe Rogan Experience.
I don't know which explanation is worse. And while you're watching this, don't forget that Joe uses facial recognition software in his own comedy club to keep track of all his guests.
There was a former FBI analyst, we read this article 100 times, his estimation, this is right around the time Elon was buying Twitter, that it could be as much as 80% bots.
Oh, so much is bots, it seems like. So much is bots out there.
But this is what this is. This is like China. This is Russia. This is foreign countries that they'll say things about U.S. aid. They'll say things about gay rights. They'll say things about LGBTQ whatever issues. They flood it. And so they have their finger either way on how much negative shit you see about any kind of subject. This is like an incredible tool to use to demoralize another country, to have another country hating itself. At least if someone in America owns it, and again, really? I don't know what they're going to do, but at least if they own it, you would say, okay, but at least they're not actively trying to fuck with us and make us battle back and forth. They're just allowing the algorithm to do its natural course.
Right. I guess if they're going to do that, we don't know.
And then, what are you going to do? You're going to require a digital ID? Fuck that. You should be able to be a whistleblower. If you're working for some company and you find out they're dumping nuclear waste into the ocean and it's killing all the fish, someone should be able to anonymously report that. And you should be able to do that through social media without having a digital ID that shows exactly who you are.
Sketchy times. I mean, the same.
And that's where I think it's the Joe Rogan saying things that I agree with there, but that's where he is a controlled opposition. Controlled opposition and these gatekeepers and these narrative drivers speak truth. Ivan Raiklin, General Flynn, all these people will say stuff. Excuse me. They're messing with my throat, people. They're coming after me. Anyways, they will say they will speak truth. I agree with them there, but it's coming in. X is requiring you to upload an identification, your driver's license, or something that identifies exactly who you are to have your to be able to do various things. Some people can't do DMs. Some people are getting shadow banned. Some people are getting locked out of their accounts because they're not uploading their identifications to these platforms. And so Rogan can sit here and say this while it is happening, is what I'm saying. That's the controlled opposition aspect of this whole bullshit.
That company Palantir that was doing all that crazy.
Why am I not hearing this?
Stuff in Gaza in Gaza, and they were like, running all the drones and stuff like this, allegedly. If you want to,
what are you talking about? What are you saying they did?
That they had were compiling data on people that were there, and they were operating a lot of the drones in the sky that also had weapons attached to them.
Is this horseshit? It's real? Jamie's not even willing.
So this was discussed on the previous video, and this is like ridiculous. Like, this is horrible acting, like Joe Rogan doesn't understand that drones could do facial recognition and have weapons on them. Let's skip forward a little bit. I wanted to see where they landed this thing.
If you don't have drone development and some kind of drone defense system in America, so if you just have no innovation and you have no way to implement any kind of defense system with drones in America, but it's already in China and it's already in Russia, you're kind of in trouble.
I think, to me, it's just scary that the company that was allegedly doing that there is the company that we hired to, I believe, create a database and have some of the same opportunities here.
Yep.
Or they could potentially be able to do the same thing here. To me, it just kind of tracks where it's like...
Yeah, well, any one private company that has a database and all the information on every person and where you are and what you're doing, yeah, that's sketchy.
This is fucking embarrassing. Joe was 100% playing dumb throughout that whole conversation, and shout out to Theo for not backing down and bringing it up over and over again. But does Joe really not see the hypocrisy of calling out the surveillance state while simultaneously running D for Peter Thiel's company Palantir? And that whole argument about there being lots of private companies with personal data is such a fucking reach. Palantir literally uses surveillance data to target drone strikes and domestically in the United States to direct ICE's deportations, not to mention all the controversy over their use in the UK's health system. Like I said though, even though Rogan clearly didn't want to talk about it, Theo just kept bringing it up over and over again to make his point.
These are just my thoughts. I don't know what's going on. And I don't need anybody to believe my thoughts or think the same way I do. I think the thing that made me nervous was that same company, Palantir, got a deal in America to create a database and help with surveillance and stuff. So that just makes me scared, and made me a little bit nervous. Not scared, but just a little bit what's going on here? Are we going to enter a surveillance?
All right, let me check the YouTube now. It's fucking doing this shit again. This is ridiculous, YouTube. This is fucking ridiculous. Once again, and we're not that far off. But like I'm saying there, it looks like Theo is giving a legitimate argument that no one has to trust his thoughts, but he wants to put that out there because he thinks it's important. The Rumble link has been shared in the live chat of this YouTube, and we're going to see what's going to happen with this YouTube thing. It took me down again, which is ridiculous. This is a reaction video. This is a watch party. Fuck off. Anyways, let's get back to this. Let's watch a little bit more of this, and then we'll close out.
State, Yeah, I think I was just concerned about if that's the company that does it here. So that's where my brain tracks. Are we going to that? And then
that should be scary.
That's why I think ICE. That's why I think all the ICE stuff happened, because I think they have to get everybody on the books. This isn't about They have to do an inventory now of everyone. The machine will know immediately, oh, you're not even supposed to be here, right? So that's why I think that the ICE stuff is happening, because I think one of the reasons is they have to get everything inventoried. Well, these people have become pawns. They'll send information to the countries that they live in and get them to come. It's like,
listen, if the population, you're right. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I don't even know probably what I was saying, but I don't know.
If the population,
we're better than this. That's what I'm saying. We're better than this. Yes. We have all this elected officials and these people that we thought were like us.
Sociopaths.
When does that end?
My suspicion is it ends when AI starts sorting government. We're probably going to use AI with government to prevent this kind of fuckery that we see on an everyday basis.
Joe Rogan has truly gone off the deep end. He will come up with any excuse not to blame the people who are actually implementing these policies and the billionaires who are profiting from them. Of course, it all comes back to AI for him. Forget all the obvious villains hiding in plain sight. For Joe, it all comes down to how AI will soon replace the government. This is coming from the guy who is so plugged into the system right now that his eyes are glowing from the current. And that's the real tragedy in all of this. Joe Rogan used to be the guy who distrusted power, who called out corporate bullshit, who questioned everything. I mean, he literally had a show called Joe Rogan Questions Everything. Now he's the guy running PR for billionaires, defending Palantir's software, and pretending not to know what the surveillance state even is.
And I agree with all that. I'll link to it down below. I won't take away any more of that guy's presentation. But this is crazy, man. And they're allowing these guys to talk about it. I'm adding some commentary. I'm not sure if it's the talk about the elite Jews or if it's too much additional information with the biodigital convergence coming out of Israel and highlighting that aspect of things, which these guys do not obviously know about. They know about the surveillance state, and that's an easy talking point with Palantir and the drones, but they don't know about how our bodies are already, nodes on the network. The internet already runs through us. They already have the ability to drop people if they really want to. And it really seems like Theo was trying to be honest and truthful and have a heartfelt conversation with Rogan. And it looks like YouTube, once again, is back up. I don't know what your guys' problem is over on YouTube. If this is a human listening to me right now, this is a watch party reaction video. I didn't even play the whole thing of some of these guys' work, and I'm adding additional commentary. And I'm going to link to them down below. I don't understand why that would be a policy violation, unless you just have a problem with some of my language, or you're cutting out aspects of things. But I'm going to talk about the Israel influence on the biodigital convergence. I'm going to talk about, as you can see on my channel, a lot of what Sabrina Wallace is putting out there, and her stuff's taking off so that we can get people more informed about biofield practice and the things that we can do to mitigate this. But going up against this system that is coming in, it's already here, but it's coming in publicly. Like maybe Theo Vaughn's part of bringing out the disclosure of this coming out. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but he's speaking a lot of truth there. My worry about where we're at right now, based on what I've been doing over the last two years of exposing these fake truthers, these fake influencers and controlled opposition that goes all the way up to the big guys to the little guys down in the truther movement, is that they, at this point, they could tell us. I feel like they could tell us everything that's going on, and they don't. And that's what Sabrina Wallace gets pissed off about. They could tell us, and there's nothing we can fucking do about it. We could cause some mayhem, and it would probably wake a lot of people up if people actually tried to, do something radical in mass, and they had to drop bodies and whatnot. If they had to do that, this is hypothetical, just talking about what they would do if people actually understood. Like maybe Theo Vaughn is actually understanding, like, holy crap, I'm helping this? I don't want to do this. Maybe he's just having one of those moments, a human moment where he actually has a heart and he's thinking about this critically when he understands. We're really distracting people while they're connecting us all to the internet and dropping 7G smart dust, net-centric warfare into our bodies, onto our soil, into our plants and our animals. And they're going to upload us all, that we're all uploaded and connected to the cloud? Like, this is it. And Joe Rogan just willingly in that episode talking about how, people get mad at Peter Thiel like he's some evil guy when they say that, humans are going to be a thing of the past here, not too distant future. Like, it's a fucking normal thing. Like, that's sick. That's post-humanism. And I've seen Corinne Nokel on X railing about this. Like, they're going to take this to transhumanism, but that's just going to be a little blip on the radar, if you will. Because they going for post-humanism. And if you got Satanists or whatever you want to call them that are creating this, putting sigils into the technology that are satanic, that go back to ancient times of using symbolism in order to have power that is dark magic into this technology, and it is going to want to get rid of the human race because we are fallible with our emotions and our limited ability to retain information, which AI can retain a shit ton of information nonstop, data collection, learning everything it wants to. Or we see another reset. I used to joke that eventually we're going to get so close to the truth, and then all of a sudden we're going to have this, like, that Men in Black, like, little stick what they put out there, and then they bloop, erase your memory. It's going to be a large one that comes out of the clouds, and we're all going to be looking up like, what is that thing? And all of a sudden, boop, and we all fucking forget, and then we're back in caves fucking wearing caveman shit and fucking, like, can't talk English and can't talk any of our languages. They just erase everything. We almost got to the truth, and then right there at the precipice of learning the ultimate truth in this world, they do a humanity reset. Who freaking knows? But it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out on the old YouTube. This was a coffee shop talk that usually doesn't get as much attention, but over here on the Rumble, you guys are loving it. 128 on the Rumble now. YouTube, you just sent more people over to the Rumble and once again showed that you cannot be trusted. So you better get your shit together. This was a watch party reaction video. Theo Vaughn exposes how compromised Joe Rogan really is. Or is it a psyop to make Theo Vaughn look good? It's all up to everybody else's interpretation. Enjoy your coffee. Enjoy your day. I'm going to go celebrate with my father and his birthday and the rest of the family. Man. I mean, I'm glad for everybody that tuned in. And if you caught this, I haven't seen it for a while on this scale where they are shutting down certain information. They're going to have a really good explanation as to why they did that. Not that they're going to fucking give a shit what I have to say about it, but I'm curious to hear, well, why? Why did you take that down? I'm adding my commentary. I'm having a conversation about things that are important that I believe are legit that we should be discussing. And that was horse shit, YouTube. Thank you for helping my Rumble channel, I guess. A lot of people don't like the other platforms, and they have their own. And a lot of people that are on YouTube, it's like Starbucks or Nike or one of these brands. Fuck all the brands, but it's like a brand thing. Like they just stick with the same thing that they know. So, anyways, I really appreciate you all. And like I'm saying, I'm not saying to run to Theo Vaughn, but I found that interview to be very interesting, and it seemed like he was like, having a human experience of realizing the magnitude of what is coming and what is happening with this biodigital convergence and the things that are coming in with the surveillance state. And it's not going to benefit people like him or anybody, because eventually this will lead to post-humanism, or at least it looks like the direction if they give it all over to AI, which probably is already the case. AI very well could be in full control. I don't know. But this was Coffee Shop Talk number 39 live on November 29th. 2025. I appreciate you all, and we'll see what happens going forward here on the YouTube. But if you can't find me on the YouTube in the near future, then you will try D-Mind to Booma on Rumble or the Substack. I love you all. God bless. And let's get a little on the way out. A little of this jazz that everybody loves. I appreciate you all. I hope you have a blessed weekend. More to come. Look forward to Tuesday with Sabrina. I might do a stream or something tomorrow too. We'll see. We shall see. I love you all. God bless. Peace.